Another stream, another day, another time to do things. Alright. I'm just going to get straight into it because I feel like getting straight into it today. I've got 2 topics. That's it. We're good today. Alright. Alright. So ABBA and Preach versus Fresh and Fit. This is a weird one. You know, I did some looking into the past in this one, and from what I gather about this, it seems that this has been going on for a few months. ABBA and Preach versus Fresh and Fit. This happened ever since the H3 sexual assault implications stream, where ABBA and Preach defended Fresh and Fit against the allegations that were made against Fresh and Fit. Rumor was that Fresh and Fit didn't watch the video that ABBA and Preach made and instead looked at the thumbnail and title and determined that ABBA and Preach were siding with what was obviously a bad attempt to cancel them. This was because ABBA and Preach made videos covering Fresh and Fit's bad behavior just prior to the H3H3 scenario, where they didn't know that this was going to happen. And this would lead ABBA and Preach to fight a war on 2 fronts. One from H3H3's side, where they would insinuate that they are far-right creators, and the second one from Fresh and Fit, where they claimed that they were far-left morons. So, I guess without further ado, let me open up... Yeah, and I'm going to show this part before anything else, because this is like... This is bad. This was really bad, even for me. So we're gonna watch like a minute of this.
Today's topic, I guess, Fresh and Fit ended her career.
So this is the person right here is ABBA, and the person next to him is Preach. That's what they go by online.
Last night's live stream.
Yeah. I think we're the first ones really calling them out at this.
This is Myron of Fresh and Fit, and the other guy, I don't know his name.
They've been lying to y'all for years, and they're dumb fans in the back. Oh, fresh and fraud, fresh and fraud. Yo, Preach is like a. It looks like a.
You should see him build momentum. What the?
2 black guys insinuating that 2 other black guys are monkeys. Strange, but okay. Let's just maybe it gets better.
Every time this thing, I got a problem with you.
Imagine them.
Nigga looks like a monkey. Preacher's over there looking like Magilla Gorilla and Donkey Kong having a baby. Like, what's going on? Preach like uses his head.
It doesn't get better. It never does.
It licks it.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that ABBA and Preach have made these guys like clinically insane, or that this guy's about to lick his own hand.
No, Reach, stop, Reach, listen to me.
That these dudes have been talking shit for years, and I think the thing.
Alright, so you get the idea. They, as the title of their video implies, they called them monkeys for 30 minutes. And that was basically all they did. So, fun. I know what video is never getting monetized, and it would be this one. And I should have showed this before, but for the record, this is... no, this is the wrong one. This is Hassan insinuating that they are on the right or far right.
Look, they're like at the edge of the manosphere, and they make a lot of. They used to like own a lot of manosphere guys, but then they also have some like conservative points of view. They've cultivated a big brand for themselves.
They came out.
They're like, not that this is, you know. I mean, you're comparing them to like some of the worst people, but like I guess they're better than Fresh and Fit and stuff for sure. Like,
well,
like
that's
when we first heard
debatable.
about them.
That's
no, I'm just saying like they are more agreeable. Like they are, as far as I know, and their politics might have changed, but it seems like they're like, you know, anti-overt white supremacy stuff. Like,
okay, so they're a little bit better than the guys we just watched, you know. So anyway. Yeah, that was the thumbnail of their video. Again, I know what video's never getting monetized. It'd be this one. So this is ABBA having to make a response to Fresh and Fit because of something that they did on Sneako's, which is another creator's stream on, it was Rumble. I've got opinions of that myself, but for the most part, I'm going to let this play out for a little bit before I go into it. Side note, they do use quite a few, and I'm going to have to skip one thing because it worries me to even play it on stream.
I didn't realize that when Fresh and Fit put out that live stream and said they were going to nuke our channel, they just ended up nuking their own. I don't know why Myron did this, but he decided to go on Sneako's live stream on Rumble.
Let's see if Pearl, so you have to wear that too?
Yeah, of course. How am I gonna break this down if I'm not in my proper attire as a race?
Bro.
All right, can you move over a little bit?
Okay, I'm moving over.
Fucking change.
You see it?
Okay, so we're already off strong. As you can see, we have a slur count. And a member of a certain thing. Yeah.
Out of that, you fucking sand nigga.
But it's okay.
White supremacist sand nigga.
Shut up. Bro, you're the worst of the worst. You eat dogs and you kill people as a black guy. And an Asian.
Yeah, true.
Pause right. This nigga right here is funny.
Oh, we have another one. We have another.
He's funny.
As you can see, we're just
I don't condone this.
the count is just
Shut
going
up,
up
you
and up and up.
Keep running the clip, you drink. No, keep running the clip. Who's that weird that can't speak? Who's that? He black as hell. Bate man. Yeah, let's keep going.
That's not what I wanted to do.
I didn't realize that when Fresh and Fit put out that live stream.
I clicked the wrong button. I'll have to edit that.
Yeah, let's keep going. Holy shit, who's this gay nigga here with the red? What the fuck is going on? What in tarnation fucking pussy shit is that?
Okay, I paused it right at the right second. We're going about to there.
Here right now.
And we're just keep in mind this is ABBA basically letting them implode, showing the audience what they're really like at the end of the day.
He puts there probably swinging around eating some bananas. Fucking stupid bitch. Preach is crying right now, swinging from a monkey ranch.
Bro.
Eating a banana, playing some Donkey Kong on an N64 because he's a stupid prick. He's a window licking stupid nigga.
What?
What?
Fat ugly white.
Hey.
Oh, that spin. I like that. I like that.
Video that
we
we
got these
responded
niggas running like it's an employment line.
What the f?
What? Don't do that. I will find you, you fucking stinky looking piece of shit. You go fucking.
This goes on for quite some time. I think I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit because, like I said, this goes on for some time where he basically insinuates where the whole count just keeps getting higher and higher. Okay, here's the clip. All right, so this is the person saying all that, by the way, in a white hood.
And nothing else.
Yeah, I think I caught a little. That was a little hardcore. It was a little...
I think what really makes me mad about this whole thing, rather than anything else, is that Myron goes on to Sneako's platform and starts calling Abba and Preach these things repeatedly instead of on their own platform on YouTube, where all they did on there was make monkey noises. You know, they're both wrong in their own right, but you didn't even have the courage to go do that on your own platform. Like, why? You're the person who sits here and talks about like high value men all day and what it means to date and stuff like that. People that can't even have a relationship longer than a year, but
a little hardcore even for me.
all right. Oh, all right. Let's back that up a second.
The end. You fucking homos got nothing else.
Yeah, I think I
All right. So you see this guy? This is Nick Fuentes, a literal white supremacist. And just listen to what he says for a quick second here.
caught a little. That was a little hardcore.
Oh, you know why it's going quick? 'Cause... All right.
You fucking homos got nothing else.
Yeah, I think I caught a little. That was a little hardcore. It was a little hardcore even for me.
That was a little hardcore. A little hardcore even for me? You know it's bad when the white supremacist says that that's a little hardcore even for him. Holy.
I'm glad you didn't show up in a white hood, Nick. That would have optics, you know.
I was gonna do the MAGA hat, but it wouldn't go as hard as the white hood. So
It wouldn't have gone as hard as the White Hood. It really wouldn't have. At that point,
that's true. Both of you guys are. It's like I'm being outdone. I thought I went pretty hard in November, and it's like
Myron leading the dissident right now.
yeah, it's a couple of the Albanian and a black guy gonna out.
It goes to show how things have changed. Because I remember when Dave Chappelle did the Clayton Bigsby shit back in the day, it was fucking hilarious. But nowadays, you fucking.
If you're wondering who the white dude in the top left is, that's a white supremacist.
so here's ABBA explaining this clip.
Nick Fuentes, who's the leader of a far-right movement, and Just Pearly thinks, I will say, Just Pearly thinks orange.
I'm just going to point this out just because I can. She spent way too much time in the sun that day. She is burnt all the way around. I know a thing or two about burning, and this either hurts like hell or she's gotten so used to it she can't feel it. So
Does look good on you. I'm glad you took Brittany's advice. I do think it's funny that the only time you decide to groom yourself is for a Klan meeting, but hey.
That was a good one. That, I'll admit, that was a great joke. You know, ABBA and Preach isn't really my style. I feel that they have a little bit too dry of content for me to watch all the time, but I gotta admit that was a good joke.
If that's the kind of high-value man you want to attract, go girlfriend.
Now,
Let's fucking do it.
hey guys, when we speak, everyone raise your hand.
I heard that some of y'all
man.
were raising the salute, so I decided to come back.
Let's go. Poor Sneak.
Dude, even Pearly is leaving. It is that bad. Dude, ABBA and Preach have made these guys so clinically insane. It's insane to watch in real time.
Go. Pearl rolls out. Oh, come on.
No!
And
Full of people.
What happened?
Let's do it.
Do you realize how dumb everyone has to be? That when you're in a room full of people, that somehow Just Pearly thing seems to be the smartest person. You see her sliding off screen like, what the fuck am I associating myself with? Y'all know how dumb you have to be to make Pearl sound smart? Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if you want to throw away your YouTube channel in the dumbest way possible, cool. You just cost yourself and your...
and he's not wrong. He might be. I don't think YouTube has the whole off-platform harassment policy that like Twitch and a few other platforms do. So that does play a factor into things, and you've got to understand that like that can be totally dependent on the platform. There's a chance that they don't get banned for this, and you know, we'll get into that in a second here. I'm gonna let him say a little bit more.
Staff millions of dollars over one of the dumbest things I've ever seen possible. And also just notice, all of this rolls off Myra's tongue so easily. This is not the...
Here's the thing. He talks about like losing money and stuff like that. The first thing that I think people don't really understand about these red pill guys that all are out here talking about like what dating advice and crap like that never works is that this is a way that they propagate their cycle. They don't care if they get banned because someone else is inevitably going to take their place. It's like a hydra. You cut off one head and two more pop up in its place. All right. Their business model is to lure in desperate guys with the idea that they're giving great advice for dating. All right. They give them that great advice for free for the first few times, but it's usually just surface level, or what they consider to be surface level. When that advice doesn't work because it's designed not to, they tell them to buy their book. Oh, if you buy our book, you know, whatever it's called, you'll learn so much more. When the advice in that book doesn't work, they tell you to go watch the next person in their circle who also published a book that's designed to give you bad advice. And you repeat that cycle over and over and over again, and that's how they accumulate these like large audiences. There's a reason why people flock to them, and that's kind of why.
First time he's talked about this, about black people like this. It's not surprising to me. Honestly, when he started speaking about black women in the past, I'd already suspected he had negative emotions or feelings about black people.
About the black dating app called Black. Oh, it's funny I never used that one, bro, but hey, man. I mean, hey, bro, if you want to date a bunch of Shaniquas, go for it, man.
LaQuisha.
Yeah, like me and Fresh aren't really down with the brown like that.
Man.
We ain't Night Riders.
Nah,
so
bro, I'm good.
You know, sometimes if they're, you know, red bone, but like in general, me and Fresh don't dabble in the dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Okay.
And this just reinforced it. It's just like,
yeah, and I have to agree with Abba here. Like, this is probably the most, in my opinion, this is where like the line is starting to get drawn. All right. Again, I have a take I'm going to save until a little bit later because that's kind of like my wrap-up thought of this whole thing. But it's like, you're going after Abba and Preach because they made videos on you when you're public figures. Why didn't you go after Willy Mac for exposing even worse things that you've done? Willy Mac, who's made a video entitled "He Should Be Arrested, Fresh and Fit Have Zero Accountability," made a 23-minute long video in which they brought on a self-admitted
podcast.
Open wide, kids, because I'm gonna grape you in the mouth.
Fresh and Fit brought on a guy named Charleston White, who proudly admits to assaulting women.
We used to run trains on white girls.
Choo choo. Shout out Robin Hood.
We used to do it without permission. So it's not like she came over and said, "Hey, I want to sleep with all you guys."
Yeah.
We said.
So you can see, yeah. Why not go after Willy Mac for exposing something that I'd say is arguably worse than putting your bad behavior online? Is it because you think that he's an easy blow, whereas Willy isn't? I mean, they've got 2 million subscribers compared to Willy's 122K. Why not go for the smaller guy? Oh, wait. You called theirs free promo. I wonder why you didn't go after him. Let's continue.
I'm not even upset. I'm just like, oh, yeah. At first, it starts with making, talking shit about black women specifically and constantly putting them down. And, sometimes there's valid criticism about black culture that I'll entertain. But
so there you go. You have Abba admitting that there are valid criticisms to be had, but none of them are what they're talking about.
The frequency and the vitriol that comes out when they speak about it, you start to feel like there's something else going on underneath it all. And then when it comes to people like Myron, even though you can never point to it directly, because it's rare that it's this overt, so you can't really point it out, right? Everyone tells you, no, it's not there, even though you have a feeling, you know what I'm saying? You have no. But now you have it in full in front of you. This guy is considered the leader of the red pill. And you're seeing how this disseminates to a lot of his followers. That kind of hatred that he has for black people is instilled in a lot of the things that he actually preaches. You can't tell because it's not overt.
And Abba's right. You can't tell. It's not overt. He slides it in every now and then. Just quick comments. And then it's gone. And then they move on to the next topic. That's part of their model, is that they just do that.
But it's in the undertones if you understand what's really going on. That's why when I saw the previous one, even though a lot of people said, no, it's not racist, it's not, it's like, do you really think that? I know it is. I know what he means when he says the warrior gene. I know what he means when he says monkey. I know why he's using it specifically for a black individual. But plausible deniability gives everyone the ability to be like, no, that's not what he meant. That's not what he meant. But with this stream, you just see everything that I believed and pretty much knew is confirmed.
Yeah, and I genuinely believe that they're either self-hating black people themselves, because if you didn't know, Myron is of African American ethnicity, and it's just so weird watching them devolve into madness in the course of a few weeks. It's like Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate disavowed all the red pill guys. So, and then Sneeko did as well, and they became the de facto red pill guys, I guess, and just lost their sanity to whatever.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to shoot your credibility, if you want to destroy your movement, if you want to make the red pill look like a movement for losers that hate women and also hate minorities and value whiteness for some reason, it's in your dating preferences, it's in your language, it's in the way that you insult people, that's okay, have your movement. But when people discredit it and laugh at it, you're going to be one of the principal reasons why with your behavior. Instead of holding frame, instead of being stoic the way you present in the red pill and handling your stuff well, You get poked and prodded, and all of a sudden you unleash this. The reason.
Yeah, you got mild criticism, and this is your response to it. It's so weird.
Why this came out is because deep down inside, that's the shit that you feel. That's the stuff that you really believe. That's how you really feel about black people. And now everyone else knows. So, you know, if you're proud of this, congratulations, brother. You played yourself. I don't think there's much to be said. I wouldn't be surprised if the YouTube channel gets deleted. As far as them talking...
I would be. Just because of YouTube's policies on harassment and stuff, they usually don't do that.
About hanging us or...
You have to, like, off-platform harassment has to be, like, so overt. You literally have to, like, tell your audience to go and flag them, and even then on YouTube usually doesn't do anything about that.
Monkeys this or whatever it is, cool.
And of course,
okay. I didn't realize.
All right, that was cut. So my thing is, after really listening to all this, it's like, I don't disagree with Abba to some degree. I do think that they deserve consequence for what they said, because there's just no punchline. There's no joke. There's nothing to it more than that. You know, they take what I think a lot of people would call a very extreme ideology of mine, which is that freedom of speech is freedom of speech, to the absolute limit, where in good faith, I really can't defend this and say that they shouldn't get some kind of consequence for their actions. Normally, I hate when people say stuff like that, just because freedom of speech is not, or stuff like freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence, because that means that it isn't freedom of speech. There's an asterisk next to it of what people are and aren't allowed to say. But then you put up, but then you have this, where it's like, they can put up a slur counter and a literal white supremacist saying that goes far even for him, too far even for him. How do you defend that in good faith? You know, it's like, yeah, no, I absolutely think that Myron is a loser who used Sneako's platform on Rumble rather than his own on YouTube because he doesn't want to get banned. He likes the money coming in. He likes the fact that he can get his message out to as many people as he wants without any trouble, really. And I just think that we're literally watching someone delve into insanity. I think there was like a movie on that or something a while back. But it's like, you can literally see in real time, like, this guy is losing his mind. I mean,
today's
seriously.
topic.
And I think
in real time. Look at this guy. That's who these people are looking up to. That's who these people are attracting. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say on the matter. Fresh and Fit might get punishment for this, might not. I really don't know. I'd be really surprised to see that, and if they do, I will definitely post an update to that one. Probably just like as a pinned comment or something. So, you know, like and subscribe to the video if you really want to see that. But, you know, I think that's all I've got to say about this matter. This is a doozy of a situation. All right. All right. I'm going to move into the next topic, which is the last topic, because I don't have any... I was going to cover the Leafy versus Destiny stuff, but I'm so middle ground on that one. It's insane. Like, I totally get why Destiny was doing what he did, but... to Leafy, but at the same time, I don't agree with it, and it's just like... I have, like... I can't have an opinion on something I'm too middle ground on. Alright, let's just do that. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, we're good. I think all my Twitter videos are going to not autoplay on their own, but I'll get them up before I do that.
Matt.
Alright, let's get the second topic going, and then I'll see. Alright. So, Willy Mac Show, one of our favorite guys over here, is fighting the internet today. Why is he fighting the internet? Or, well, not today, but he was fighting the internet a day or two ago. By the time this video is uploaded on YouTube. Why is that? Well, he's responding to this clip. So let's quickly take a look at this clip and understand what is going on.
Absolutely responsible for my audience. If you want to, you know, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
I completely agree. And there are so many fucking content creators out there that just leave that at the door. They like turn on, they go in their computer and they do their content and do this. And the second they're offline, they just like let the snowball go down the hill. You are absolutely responsible for your audience and what they're saying and doing and what's happening in different Discords and stuff. You have to know.
So you have to be responsible for things that are happening that you have no control over. You don't know what other people, you know, it's like you've got, even if you, this is so weird to me that this guy seems like 100% honest when he's sitting here and trying to say like, oh, you have to take responsibility for someone else's actions on their own time. You know, you fire up a stream, you're responsible for every single person in the world now. Why?
No one else can be.
But
you are the mother that birthed that audience, right? They are a reflection of you. It makes me sick to think of like what you guys might say and do in other channels. That's why I'm like very strict here, right?
Okay. Dumb point. You're not responsible for the audience. You can't be responsible for your audience for a slew of reasons. Mainly that you have no idea what they're going to do when you're done streaming or posting a video or anything like that. All right? You could have, and I guess I'll just read what Willy Mack is saying. You are not responsible for your audience unless you directly tell them to do something, i.e. go to harass someone. They're their own people. If you have 100,000 viewers, statistically speaking, one of them is going to be unhinged. Willy's not wrong. How in 100,000 viewers are you supposed to be able to control 100,000 people? That's dumb. You can't do it. You just can't control 100,000 people. You know, you can sit there and go, oh, don't, you know, don't go out and harass people. You know, if I make a video on this, don't go harass that person. But that's you taking responsibility. You know, that's you making sure you disavow anyone that goes out and does that. Ludwig responds, the argument that statistically 1 in 100,000 people will be unhinged, so you bear no responsibility on the other 99,999 is incredibly weak. Keep in mind, he doesn't say anything further than that. And we'll get into some other things in just a second here, but you can't be responsible for one person out of 100,000. All right. This is a let me see. Ninja responded to, Ninja. You aren't responsible for them, but you have a responsibility to be a good role model and leader, especially when you're talking about sensitive topics. I think what he was saying was you're not responsible for them, but you have a responsibility to make sure like you disavow like bad actors doing bad things in your community. All right. I think that he said this in a bad way because it doesn't really make a lot of sense considering like you've got clips like this of him.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit? How are you not in fucking school?
You know, you've got stuff like that. So yeah, I think this was said like the worst way possible, but I think that it was meant to be more on the lines of like, you know, you aren't responsible for them, but you have a responsibility of setting like the example of what you want to see in your community. So it's like, no, you can't be saying stuff like this. So it's like if I see someone come into my thing and it's like they're saying like insane stuff and I ban them and I say, no, I don't do that here. I think that's what he's saying is like, no, I don't like want people like that. But anyway, Willy Mack responds to it when it's saying, when I made my YouTube account, I didn't realize I signed up to be everyone's dad. 99% of viewers watch a YouTube video and then forget about you the rest of the day. You guys all think you're way more important than you are. He's not wrong. You know, I think a lot of us make content for the enjoyment of the audience and because we enjoy doing it. When you're sitting there and saying like I have to be responsible for everyone, suddenly it's like I'm raising the bar tenfold on like what I'm doing. Now I've got to micromanage I mean, now I've got to micromanage like 1 million people or like 1,000 people or whatever, and you just can't do that. You know, when did the responsibility, or when did people suddenly not have responsibility to be good people in real life? When was that the creator's fault? You know, if you're cultivating like a community of people who are toxic, that's one thing. There's an argument to be made there that you do have responsibility of your audience. But oh, wait a minute. Yeah, before everyone spazzes out in the replies, remember I explicitly say this in the original tweet. Unless you directly tell them to do something, you're responsible, especially if you spread misinformation, scams, etc. But not for every random person that follows you. You can't be. It's just not possible. When you're smaller, it's kind of different because you can kind of cultivate what you want to have and what you don't want to have. But when you start growing larger, like Willy Mac, who's sitting at 122K subscribers on YouTube, and even more on, and a little bit less, and a lot less than that on Twitter, but still, you just can't be responsible for 100,000 people. Why are content creators held to this unbelievably high standard of being responsible for their audience, but musicians, directors, and video games are largely not anymore? Should rap songs not sing about violence and drugs? Should games not be violent? And he makes a great point here, because it is. It's like, if I play a video game, and and from it I get like, oh, I should go out and kill people. Is that the video game's fault, or is that my fault for thinking like that? It's probably my fault for thinking like that. So, it's like, it goes back to the whole, like, are video games, or do video games cause violence? We're going back to, like, Gamergate back in 2016, and it's so annoying that I have to sit there and say that, because I think that it's just, I think that that's, like, the worst way I could possibly say anything, is like, oh, well, we're going back to Gamergate, here we go. And this is Willy's response to Ludwig. Obviously, if 99,999 of your 100,000 viewers are being racist, then you are responsible for that. Exactly what I said. But is that how you would describe iDubbbz? His audience is entirely racist? Bro, these big YouTubers just come up with the most insane made-up scenarios and act like that's my argument. Stop shoving words down my throat. And that is kind of what they're doing. All Willy said was just like, you can't be responsible for 100,000 people. It's just not possible. And, okay, so before we get into this, I think we'll watch this clip of Ludwig responding.
It was someone saying least egotistical content creator, and it was in response to Sand saying this. Absolutely responsible for your audience and what they're saying and doing and what's happening in different discords and stuff. You have to. No one else can be. You are the mother that birthed that audience, right? They are a reflection of you. It makes me sick to think of like what you guys might say and do in other channels. That's why I'm like very strict here, right? And then I think the take from this person, homosexual, was least egotistical creator, because it's very egotistical to think that you have that much of a command over another human. So I think that's where the ego comes in. You are one of many creators that people consume. You don't have that much of an impact. What I view it as is like inaction births action. So this
inaction births action. Oh God, well, now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I was watching something that dealt with this topic not too long ago, and it's like, they put it in the most profound way possible, which was something on the lines of like, if you choose not to take action on something, do you still have responsibility for that? If you see someone getting beat up and you choose to not do anything, that's more of a moral standard than that is a golden rule. You should stand up. If you see that, you should go and tell people. That's a should. That's your moral. But there are people out there that don't believe that way. Maybe the person's getting beat up for a reason. Maybe, that reason is entirely fair. You don't know. It's like, should I make sure to go tell the cops when people are boxing? Well, no, that's technically legal because they're doing it inside a ring, inside a specified setting. But I could still, my moral beliefs may think otherwise. Maybe there's no moral way to go and box someone in that idea. But at the same time, if I do take action on that, now I am responsible for that. So if I take action on someone in my chat, now I'm responsible for that chatter, because I took action on it. Inaction can't be action if you never do the action. I guess that's the best way to say it. How, you know, it's like, if you don't do anything about it, nothing, it's like, if you don't do anything about it, how do you expect people to, I don't know, this whole line of thinking just gets me into this, like, logical loophole where it's like, if I do take action, I'm responsible, but if I don't take action, I'm still responsible somehow. That doesn't make sense.
This person's take was, you are not responsible for your audience unless you tell them to do something. So like, hey, let's go hate raid Pokey, like that Gideon clip from back in the day. But I think if we're talking about Chris Mr. Beast and a bunch of people in my chat start.
Okay, so the Gideon example is fair. I'll give him that. So I'm gonna back this up just a second.
Back in the day. But I think if we're talking about Chris Mr. Beast and a bunch of people in my chat start saying, Chris, you know, you yuck Dan's game, or saying maybe more outwardly transphobic shit, and I do nothing about it, then it's...
Okay, but you should be doing something about that, if that's how you feel. You want to cultivate this, like, community of kindness or whatever. Dumb idea anyway. You're never going to be able to cultivate a community of kindness because there's always going to be people that are in there to hate, and not everyone chats. In 11,000 people that watch your stream, maybe only 5,000 of those people are actually chatting. And the other 6,000 are just background watchers. But if people are openly saying these things in your chat, yes, you do have a responsibility of saying, no, I don't want that in my community. And you ban those people. That's not what Willy was arguing here. You're not responsible for your audience unless you directly tell them to do something. They are their own people. Okay? If they're being that way in your chat, are you you know, and you're not saying, and you didn't say anything transphobic or homophobic or whatever kind of stuff like that, and they're being like that, you're not responsible for the way they think in that moment. You're responsible for making sure you make sure that they aren't allowed in your community.
It's kind of like a safe space for that type of rhetoric. And that can, but I fundamentally agree with Stans that the community you form based off the actions you take will make it...
They all want to be Dream so bad.
...a more positive place than negative. And I think people are too willing to say, I am not responsible, and having a lot of inaction in not forming a better community. But, like, I also don't care to argue it. You know, like, I stay in my own lane.
And that's why you responded on Twitter.
I try to make sure I have a nice place, but I cannot police the internet, nor do I care to. But I...
Alright, that's the clip. I'm going to cut him off there. The bearing of that sentence is that people that hold creators responsible for a minority of their audience doing bad things, like Nikocado blaming Charlie for harassment even though Charlie said not to harass, or PewDiePie for the Christchurch shooting, or iDubbbz for saying his own fans were saying the N-word F slur out loud in public. None of these people advocate for doing these things, but fringe minority freaks did them. And then masses of people are trying to hold the creator accountable. That's unreasonable. That's the point. And he's not wrong. You know, it's like, when you really stop and look at it, a minority of people are always going to be unhinged. You can't be responsible for that. You just have to disavow and move on with your day. There's no way of, like, being responsible for 100,000 people. And actually, I like this example a lot. All right, PewDiePie. There was one guy that did the Christchurch shooting. A tragedy. How many subscribers does PewDiePie have? Let's look. PewDiePie. 111 million. Now, this was probably a little bit less back, like, what was it, 2019 that happened? Was it 2019 that happened? I think it was. Yeah, 2019. So that was, God, that was a while ago. 4 years ago. And the fact that, you know, I think that's a fair example. 4 years ago, someone, you know, it's like, oh, you know, 4 years ago, this guy, like, shouted out PewDiePie right before doing this. Was PewDiePie responsible for that then? By their logic, yeah. Because he wasn't dictating 100 million people back, or, you know, he wasn't saying, like, oh, no, don't do this. You know, he wasn't being in charge of 100 million people. It's such a dumb argument with such dumb takes. Yes, Ian bears responsibility for his audience enjoying edgy humor because he directly advocated for that. Oh, okay. This is Ryan's thread. This is the Ryan Beard stuff. Complete brain dead moron as well. He's saying that iDub still had influence over the other 99, whatever, and influenced many of them in a negative way. He's not saying that every single one of them is a full-blown racist. You're actually putting words in his mouth. The question really comes down to this. Do you think it's bad to influence people to say slurs? If your answer is yes, then I think it logically makes sense that iDubbbz would bear some responsibility for influencing millions of people. Yes, Ian bears responsibility for his audience enjoying edgy humor because he directly advocated for that. Read Ryan for once. So you had that, and maybe I thought Ryan did another one. Maybe not. Yeah, this one. All right, let me get this up because this is a thread to beat the band. Do you genuinely believe that influencers have absolutely, and anyone that uses influencers is probably subhuman. The only reason we use the term influencer to describe YouTubers and all that instead of creators is because the Paul brothers like popularized that term, and then all the news medias used it against PewDiePie. So now everyone's like an influencer. We're not. We're creators. All right, creators above influencers. And do you think creators hold no responsibility if they influence people negatively? The idea that creators hold absolutely no responsibility for their negative influences is so ignorant. Nobody said that. Obviously, if you spread misinformation, scams, or tell your audience to harass someone, that's on you. I'm just saying I'm not their dad just because they watch my YouTube videos. Stop shoving words in my mouth. You do this all the time, and it's annoying. Alright, well, I think encouraging people to say slurs falls under the category of misinformation because that's promoting what I consider harmful information. I'm not saying that is actually stupid. I'd say that it promotes hate speech. I wouldn't say that it promotes misinformation. Thank you, Willy. Because that's promoting what I consider harmful information. I'm not saying creators are people's parents, but they do hold some partial responsibility for their influence. All right. If you notice, okay, parents need to be responsible for their kids. Clearly, this is the problem. Parents will sit kids in front of like an iPad and just give them like free reign of the internet, and they can watch like the craziest crud in the world instead of parenting their kid. Like, this is actually insane. Slurs are not information, you fucking idiot. Thank you, Willy. Very cool. The argument that it's okay to say slurs is information when you try to convince your audience of an argument that is you trying to inform your audience that your perspective is correct. Obviously, whether or not it's okay to say slurs is a subjective argument, but I think subjective arguments can still be misinformation if the argument is harmful. Like saying certain races are inferior is technically a subjective argument, but I would still call it misinformation. Ryan. iDubbbz never seriously said certain races were inferior. That is vastly different than one's sense of humor. One is the biases of white supremacy, or basis, sorry. The other is just an edgy sense of humor that a large portion of the population enjoys, despite race, religion, etc. I'm aware that he never said races were inferior. I was using a hypothetical to explain that argument. Can you still... to explain that arguments can still spread misinformation. Yes, I'm aware that a lot of people enjoy edgy humor, but I agree with iDubbbz that encouraging the use of the N-word for humor is harmful. If you have to use extreme hypotheticals, then your argument probably isn't good. Also, the point on if jokes are harmful literally comes back around to my initial point. There will always be a stupid person who doesn't understand that There will always be a stupid person who doesn't understand you. That's up to parents to correct. I didn't make a YouTube account to be the dad of the bottom 1% of IQs that watch my video. And he's not wrong. You know, okay, we have Augie here with a take. Come on. Why are YouTubers so willing to accept responsibility for every potential problem that could happen? Slave mentality. Just make something people like. All content comes at a cost no matter what. Sitting down watching hours of it alone perpetuates irresponsibility. Who cares? And he's not wrong there either. What was this one? Oh, I had that up already. You know, and this was sent to someone, and I found it out a little bit later. But Ludwig, Mr. Ludwig, The argument that statistically 1 in 100,000 people will be unhinged, so you bear no responsibility on the other 900 or 99,999 is incredibly weak. Well, what's this one? I tried drunk driving legally. There is no legal drunk driving. Anything over a certain blood alcohol content is illegal. Oh my god, I tried driving high legally. Well, you're responsible for 822,000 people now. Because if any one of those people do it, you're responsible for every single one of those. Just like you're responsible for the 1.2 million that did this one. Does he believe these arguments? Probably not. Just out of the pure everything, he probably does it. There's no way you can believe this and still be in good faith. You have unlucky timing from Bobalax, and then Diorio responds, it's just not worth engaging with people who it's just not worth engaging with people who expect creators to flog themselves and take responsibility for every individual fan like they are disabled adults under mind control. Like, this position in of itself is a major impasse and most likely means that the person holding it will be incompatible with anything I actually do on any of my social medias, Lamau. So it's genuinely not worth trying to meet in the middle on it. And then finally we have this. So this is in response to this one. Give me a second here. The only time a creator should be taking responsibility for their audience is when they've directed them to do something like harassment, indirectly caused real-world harm through misinformation, promoted a scam / rug pull, or knowingly promoted harmful TikTok escape trends. Or, yeah, I think escape was not supposed to be in there. In these specific examples, most would already know why these are wrong to do, and this should come as no surprise. Outside of obvious stuff like this, you'd just be micromanaging a horde of thousands / millions of people you don't know and how they choose to misinterpret your message. If I or Willy or even Ian made a critical video on someone that person received harassment, I would like to ask that person. I'd ask that person to reflect on why people feel this way. If their answer is "you harass me," I think you're responsible. Then I think I picked the right target. So basically, what he's saying is, if all they believe is that you're doing this for harassment purposes or stuff like that, you've probably picked the right person, because they're the ones not taking responsibility for their actions. You know, and I think that this whole thing is just brain dead in looking at it. If you want to be responsible for your audience, I guess go ahead. When that comes back to bite you in the ass like it did with Dream, George Not Found, you know, almost everyone on that Dream SMP crap, when anytime they stepped out of line, it was like a million tweets trying to cancel them. You know, go ahead. Try and create communities like that. I encourage it. Less of you guys on the internet means more room for us, right? You know, but don't be surprised when people tell you, like, or don't be surprised if, like, something happens in your name, like what happened with PewDiePie. You know, that's a great example of why you can't be responsible for everyone in your audience. Where was that? You know, that's a great example of why you just can't be. You know, that guy did something so extreme. Is that still PewDiePie's fault because he cultivated that audience, apparently? No. He just can't control 111 million people at all times. He might be able to control people in the long run with, like, his blanket actions, like don't go harass someone, or I don't appreciate that thought process in my community. But he can't control all 111 million people if all 111 million people didn't watch that video that he said that in. It's so much more different than that. That's all I gotta say on the matter. And that's all I've got today in general. Yeah, people are dumb. I can't wait for I can't wait for something bad to happen to like Ludwig, where someone does something in his name, like drunk drive, and then they get pulled over and they get like, or they get into an accident, and then he has to somehow say that he's not responsible for that while making a tweet that says he's responsible for everything. I just can't wait. I know it's not going to happen, but it might. Ooh, this sounds like a good one to end it on. Alright. Yeah, that's all I've got today, so I hope you enjoyed. I know I did. I'm definitely going to be doing more streams in the summer. Oh, well, not really for like the first 4 weeks of summer, but well, of July. I'm going to be trying to do things every week in June, because I've got like 4 weeks of June that I get to do things, and then, well, this 3 weeks left. This was the 4th week, and then I'll be gone for like 4 weeks, and then I'm coming back probably like August 1st or something stupid like that, and we're gonna be on a grind into September. And stream date might change, I don't know yet. Depending on September, I'm gonna have to be looking into my schedule for that one. It's probably not gonna change until late September. I'll have to check that as well. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, like the video, subscribe if you want to, and I'll catch you all next week.